Thanks for tuning in to Healthy Planet One, where we discuss healthy living from experts in each of their fields. This is your host, Patricia Starr.
And your co-host, Kimberly Knock.
Welcome, everyone, to Healthy Planet One. Today's guest is Suzanne Gray, and we are thrilled to hear from her. She'll be talking about health from the inside out. Hello, Suzanne. Nice to have you with us today.
Well, thank you, Patricia and Kimberly. It's always wonderful getting together with you two wonderful goddesses.
Well, thank you. And I just, by way of introduction to our listeners, I just want to say, I know you've been practicing massage and colon therapy for over 30 years, and you're a graduate of USF, and which is University of Southern Florida. So I know you've also a teacher, you've taught internationally, and you've served on the board of the, I'm going to say IACT, which is the colon therapy board, for those that don't know. And you were the first colon therapist in traditional GI's office preparing for colonoscopies and fecal transplants. So very, very good to have you. I know that they call you the Cosmic Colon Queen or the Cosmic Colon Whisperer. So we need to know, number one, what is colon therapy and how does that make you a colonic whisperer?
Well, when you practice a field for as long as I have and have the passion and compassion, you develop certain skills and intuition. And being a colon therapist as long as I have been, and my late husband was a medical intuitive, I learned a lot from him. Doing colon therapy, not just on my clients, but on myself for over 30 years, I learned to know what it feels like in certain situations, not just with myself, but with my many clients, and of course, their feedback. And one of the reasons that I've been titled like the Cosmic Colon is because I bring in many different approaches, and I deal a lot with energy, emotions, and really the three brains of the body, which are the body, mind, and spirit, the head, the gut, and the heart.
Well, I know that I feel that you're quite the healer in this way. I've experienced your work, and it is really incredible. But let's go back to the beginning. I know that you came across a book that had to do with tissue cleansing through bowel management. What was that for you, and why is that important that people consider colon therapy?
Well, your colon is the septic tank of your body. Let me share an analogy with you. We have a house that we live in. We sleep, we entertain, we play, we have our friends come over, and we're in it maybe 10, 12, 13 hours or more a day. But the other house that we have, we live in 24/7. And we are told by plumbers that we should clean our dwelling that we live in with our families at least once a month. Well, our bodies need to be cleaned out at least once a month because that colon, as I said, is the septic tank of the body. And because the digestive system has its own circulatory systems, it's got arteries and veins, and the veins leading up to the portal vein into the liver where we have detoxification going on, and then goes through the heart and into the bloodstream. And you want your blood to be clean. If it's not, it's going to affect the rest of the cells, thus the organs in the body. That's a short physiology anatomy lesson there. But then there's also, we get stressed out. When we get stressed, we kind of hold on to things, and then that causes our bodies to get tight. So the emotions are also involved with this, and our energy center of the solar plexus is also in that area where the gut is, the colon, the small intestine. Now, if we are not eliminating, then we're going to absorb those toxins, as I said. Think of it this way. If we eat 3 meals a day, 365 days of the year, That's 1,095 meals. Now, if you go to the restroom or having a bowel movement one time a day, that's 365. Where are the other 730 meals? They're sitting in the gut. And you absorb this into the system. That's how we get leaky gut.
That's quite an analogy, Suzanne. It's amazing. I love that analogy. It's really great. And it's like we have our home, and our home is also our body. And you made a comment about the liver. And I know Kimberly talks about the liver a lot, that it's one of the big detoxifiers. And I don't think people realize how important that liver relates to the colon. I think you pointed that out really well.
Well, the other thing too, Patricia, is that the liver has over 500 functions. In Chinese medicine, it's the anger organ. Now, how many people, especially in today's world, don't have a little bit of anger? But it's also the other thing too, that organ can regenerate itself. It's really, I mean, we've got such an amazing piece of machine that we live in 24/7.
Exactly. Kimberly, do you have a note on that one?
Yeah, and I love that you're bringing up the emotions related to the organs. And I just recently came to see Suzanne, and I've been experiencing her work for quite a while. But we talk about we're in fall. The fall season also rules the colon. And colon, as you mentioned, rules holding on to emotions. So it's a really good time to, obviously, to do that. And so I do talk about seasonal health a lot in what I do. And also the lower part of the rectum, I believe, has a direct link to the liver. Isn't that correct, Suzanne?
Yes. I mean, there's so many connections, with the body and the parts. Everybody wants to take the body apart. However, it's really this beautiful piece of work, and we have to find the pieces that fit together. We want it to work synergistically. And there's the reason why you said the lower part of the colon, that's the anal canal, is because the hemorrhoidal vein is there, which leads into the portal vein, which goes up to the liver. However, the part of the colon that's really associated with the liver is the hepatic flexure, and that is on the right side of the body, right underneath the rib cage. The hepatic flexure, because it's underneath the liver. And a lot of times during my sessions, I do a lot of massage. I use essential oils. I have different pieces of equipment and frequencies and light that I will use on the body to help facilitate movement, energy moving in the body, because we are energy. It's a proven fact that we are more energy than space. It's just amazing.
Yeah, I really love that. So what are we going to do with these extra 700 and some meals that we didn't poop out?
Well, I'll tell you. Some people feel that they're just going to hold on to it. I would strongly suggest that people can give themselves an enema, but I really feel that these little enema kits that they have at the drugstore, the Fleet enema, they do very, very little. There's other enema kits that you can get, but if you really want to have a really clean colon, which can also affect your thoughts and your eyes and your skin, then I would strongly suggest colon hydrotherapy. It's a very gentle way of cleansing the colon, and we use disposable tubing and filtered water, and we have wonderful conversation. Now, where can you go to get cleaned out, laugh a little bit, and have some fun? I mean, you ladies know you've done sessions with me, and I have been working with people from age 4 to 96. And recently, I had a gentleman come on, and he was really, really nervous. And he says, well, having something go up my rectum. I said, well, that's called homophobia. But let me assure you that I have worked on the Buccaneers, the Pittsburgh Steelers. I've worked on some politicians and also entertainers. So let's just sit and relax and enjoy each other.
That's awesome. And I have a question for you, Suzanne, because I remember as a very small child, my mother wanting to give me enemas. I hated it, but what's the difference? I mean, you said you worked on a 4-year-old and as old as the 90s, which makes sense to me. The older, but why the young ones and
well,
why not just enemas versus colonics for young ones?
Okay. Well, first of all, it's going to depend on the individual. With this little guy, he was so cute, but he was a little bit stressed out, like at school. Can you imagine that at 4 years old?
No.
And he, right, exactly. And he was so excited to come because the mother didn't know, but the nanny was a client of mine. So he was very excited about coming in. And with colonics, and we have different size speculums, by the way, because the anus. Now, all right, this is kind of picturesque here, but the anus has the same musculature around the mouth. So when people see the speculum, they're like, "Oh my God, that's so big!" And I said, "Open up your mouth." and I tell them, "You have the same musculature around your mouth that you do your anus," and they kind of look at me. I said, "Well, I'm just trying to make this easier for you." So we use a child speculum on many people. You don't have to be a child to use that one. And all we did was we did a fills with him, and now he doesn't have to run up. This is the difference between an enema and colon therapy. With an enema, you can only take in so much water, and then you have to expel it. Here, you're on a table. We let the water in, and then we take the water out. The water in, the water out. It's according to your comfort level. And so, I mean, it's amazing because at first, a lot of times people say, "Well, I don't want to look. I don't want to look." I said, "Well, would you like me to describe what's coming out?" And within 30 seconds to a minute, they're watching the view tube. "That's coming out of me? Where's it coming from?" "Your colon, and probably the meals that you haven't pooped out."
And how was the 4-year-old with that?
Oh my God, he was so fantastic. We put the water in, water out, and I have to tell you this, when he came in, he had Mr. Broccoli in his hand. I mean, so right then and there, I knew the kid was a healthy eater, and it was all emotional. He went in, he had his colonic, he went to the restroom, and that was it. He didn't have to come back again. Because you see, what's really interesting about the large intestine is that it's a 4-layer muscle, and it is as long as you are tall. However, one of the great things that I had the opportunity while working with the GI doctor, they had a surgery center where they did colonoscopies. And I had the blessing to be able to go in to different doctors and watch the procedure. And the conclusion that I came up with was people that are tall with long arms and legs, and also, not so tall, but if you've got long arms and legs, the colon was always longer. It just simply amazed me to make that connection. So there are some people that, they have extra long colons. I had a gentleman, this must have been like 20 years ago. He was 6'4", and he came to me and he said, "Suzanne, I do not want to have surgery." I said, "Well, what's the issue?" "I have a long colon." Well, I worked on him, and I told him, I said, "Look, it might be a good idea." And after about a year, he had agreed. He had an extra 5 feet of colon.
5 feet?
And as, yes.
Wow.
And as people chronologically mature, whether or not you're active, whether or not what you eat, things can slow down. I am on the mindset where the mind goes, the body's going to follow.
Mm-hmm.
And I truly feel that you are as young as you want to feel. It's what we feed our minds. It's what we feed our bodies. And I actually talk about this with my clients and give them tools so that they can work with themselves if they want to, or I may suggest somebody that they go see. So that's part of the...
May I ask you a question, Suzanne? Did you, in working with this gentleman who was 6'4", you could, in your work with him, you could see that he actually needed that because you didn't know how extra long it was, but what you could see is that,
Yeah, he told me, and he was in his 80s, And
Okay.
he could keep coming in and getting the colonics. I mean, I told him it's really up to him, what he wanted to do.